Quick greetings. We are back because we want to try to keep the momentum going. And when we talk about the Dawes role, now I kind of skipped and went ahead and did a video uh, just yesterday, last night, uh, about operating in private versus operating in public. And what I was hoping to show was that these are both still in commerce. The goal of the Indian is to separate himself from commerce so that he or she can be a man or woman of the land and not a capital letter corporate fiction. What federally recognized Indians, they know what they're in. They know that they are a product of the federal government. They're giving up their birthright for commerce. But incorporated Indians, I think that they are birthright Indians. But again, no, you are also operating strictly in commerce. You're buying your land, you're recording your minutes of the meetings you have because you're reporting to your slave master. So no, that is not the goal for awakening birthright Indians either. Now, so yeah, both private and public are operating strictly in commerce and not in birthright, law of the land. So in this video, we're going to get back on our Dawes roll kick because we wanted to show that the Dawes Act also introduced the $5 Indians. $5 Indians are Indians who were not birthright Indians, but could be anybody from anywhere in the world, could pay $5, whether they're European, uh, whatever. They could be Indians for $5 in relation to this Dawes Act. So that's why in my paperwork, I had to specify I'm not claiming to be a uh, Dawes Roll Indian. Now, Dawes Roll, people who are on the Dawes Roll, who are actually real Indians, they can claim that the Dawes Roll was unconstitutional because it is. As we saw in the last video, nobody's operating under the Constitution any longer. The commerce has washed over even that poor thing. Okay, that's why it's so important that Indians anchor themselves to the land, because this sea jurisdiction, it has you in the chaos of the ocean. Basically, there's no anchor, and those who live on those Indians are floating on a turtle. You need to get back onto the land. You don't want to be on a turtle's back. That is not land. That is not land. So a big to Turtle Island theory. That's Iroquois. Okay. So now again, we want to get back on our Dawes roll lessons, because this is where we're going to find out about paying to play Indian is the name of the article. Paying to play Indian. The Dawes rolls, the Dawes rolls and the legacy of $5 Indians. This is by Alyssa Landry. And you could find this article here. Oops. Up here. HTTPS. Come on, I don't want to highlight the whole page. Oh boy, it won't let me. Okay, right up here. Okay. HTTPS colon // ICTnews.org archive. um, paying uh, to play Indian. Buzz Rolls and the Legacy of $5 Indians. This is a 3-page article, so we will hopefully get through this quickly. And we may even get to some other screenshots that are up at the top of the page. Okay. It may be fashionable to play Indian now, but it was also trendy 125 years ago when people paid $5 a piece for falsified documents, declaring them native on the Dawes roll. See, they use that term native, but whenever you see native, just know that an Indian has just been sacrificed in the death cult. Okay? And we're being replaced by Native Americans. So these so-called $5 Indians paid government agents under the table in order to reap the benefits that came with having Indian blood. Mainly white men with an appetite for land, $5 Indians pay to register on the Dawes rolls, earning fraudulent enrollment in tribes along with benefits inherited by generations to come. These were opportunistic white men who wanted access to the land or food rations, said Gregory Smithers, associate professor of history at Virginia Commonwealth University. These were people who were more than happy to exploit the Dawes Commission, and government agents for $5 were willing to turn a blind eye to the graft and corruption. The Dawes Commission, established in 1893 to enforce the General Allotment Act. So we read about the Allotment Act, where they're breaking up tribes. Basically, when you see allotment or Dawes Act, know that that means that they were cutting tribes down into little, easy, digestible chunks to be devoured by the federal beast. And so if you we said this before, just say it again. The Commerce Clause, Article 8 in the Constitution, says that the federal system were to regulate commerce between Indian tribes and the states. So again, if this same federal government enacts a legislation called the Dawes Act to break up tribes, what is their goal? The goal is to demolish Indians, to eradicate Indian tribes. So what happens to that Commerce Clause? Well, the federal government becomes the recipient of our profits because we are no longer in commerce because we're not tribes anymore. So first they get rid of your tribes. You become a single Indian with a little bit of land. And now the Dawes Act is selling your land under the table to anybody. Look, this is what Indians who say they want to keep their United States citizenship and they want to just be a 501c3, you're submitting to this fuckery. But maybe you just were not Indian to begin with. You might be a Moor and don't know it because you've taken on their mindset. They want commerce here because that's the only standing that makes it possible for them to be here. Law of the land would not have any other people here but Indians. But Indians have to established law of the land, and they got to get out of this commerce beast. You just got to get out. By now, we should know commerce was only a storefront for land misappropriation. And we got to let everyone know that the very Vatican that allowed for you to come here and misappropriate Indian land or Americans' lands, that same Vatican has repudiated that doctrine that allowed you to come and do this, meaning game over. The Dawes Commission established in 1893 to enforce the General Allotment Act of 1887, or the Dawes Act, was charged with convincing tribes to cede their land to the United States. Wow, feeding the beast, right? And then you become a taxpayer. So this Dawes Commission was charged with convincing. So this is all coercive, you know? This is all, looks like bribing and, it's just this beast we're dealing with. I'm telling you, lawfulness is the last thing on their mind. They make laws just to look good, but then they find quote unquote loopholes so that they can continue to steal. So the Dawes Commission was charged with convincing tribes to cede their land to the United States and divide remaining land into individual allotments. Wow. So that means you were losing land with this General Allotment Act. So you didn't need all that land if they're breaking you up into single Indians so that you could end up falling into their states and getting taxed, unconstitutionally taxed. The commission also required Indians to claim membership in only one tribe. So that was an eye-opener. It seems like Indians could be members of more than one tribe. I guess if they had a mother who was, let's say, Algonquin and a father who was Iroquois, they could be members of both tribes. But look at how they're limiting us. The commission also required Indians to claim membership in only one tribe and register on the Dawes rolls, what the government meant to be a definitive record of individuals with Indian blood. Meanwhile, they're allowing people with no Indian blood to also register on that Dawes roll. You see? The Indians, it's just that the more you learn, you can see that this was nothing about two sovereigns making a contract together. It was conquest, and it was a foreign system that tricked you because it came with the notion that we were going to do commerce. But really what was happening is this beast is slowly genociding everything that comes in its way, namely American Indians, and particularly Algonquin males, because that was the patrilineal system. They had to get rid of anything where men were dominating because they're about to take your place. The foreign men. Okay. But if that was it, just that, it wouldn't be so bad. But these foreigners are connected to nobility, right? They have kings behind them, right? So really, they're doing the bidding of, if not the king, then of the church, the priesthood. And that's why the religion has to go for Indians who are serious. The death cult has to go. So let's read that again. The commission also required Indians to claim membership in only one tribe and register on the Dawes roll. What the government meant to be a definitive record of individuals with Indian blood and those willing to pay $5 to pretend to have Indian blood, that the government allowed this to happen. In 1898, targeted the five civilized tribes. Well, you already had them in the palm of your hand. So then they used these Indians again, like the toilet paper in the caste system. The Curtis Act, passed in 1898, targeted the five civilized tribes: Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Seminole. I'm sorry, Creek and Seminole. Did I say the Seneca was part of this in one of the last few videos? That was incorrect. I think the Seneca was part of the Iroquois Confederacy. I believe, because I don't want to uh you know falsely add innocent Indians as they were part of the Iroquois Confederacy. Let's see. I'm looking it up on my cell phone. Are the Seneca Seneca Indians Iroquois? Yes, Seneca Indians are considered part of the Iroquois Confederacy. Okay, I got it right. All right, so I just wanted to check that because I remember saying that they were Iroquois, and that is correct. Okay. The Curtis Act, passed in 1898, targeted the five civilized tribes. Again, once they get you in their jurisdiction, they could do whatever the hell they want to do. But what's sad is these five civilized tribes, they seem to be promoting federal domination, although federal domination just fucked them all the way up. Pardon my French. Pardon my French. Sorry. Forcing them to accept allotments. So they will. This is crazy, y'all. I really don't get it why Indians had. I just don't get it, y'all. You become civilized and then you're treated the worst. And then Indians are supposed to want to follow your lead, and you're encouraging them to stay like under federal domination. Because you look how great it worked for you, right? Forcing you to accept allotments and register on the Dawes roll. The two acts, which came during a period of murky social context after the Civil War, when white and black men were intermarrying with Native American Indians. Very interesting how they put that, white and black men were intermarrying with the matriarchs, aimed to help the government keep track of real Indians. They need to keep track of quote unquote real Indians so they can genocide that ass. Or while accelerating efforts to assimilate Indian people into white culture, Smithers said. Now, this is what I'm always saying lately. Once you marry into colonizers' lineage, they want you to assimilate. So they want you to forget you're an Indian because they're looking to take your land. And you're going to forget that you had a birthright because you're looking to get land through commercial means. What it should be is when they marry into Indians that they go by you and you still maintain your birthright and they don't. Or if as in as much as they do, they're doing it as Indians, not as colonizers. But you see the colonizers preserving his legacy again, while just completely solving yours. By 1865, African Americans and white Americans were moving into the Midwest, into the Indian and Oklahoma territories. all vying for some patch of land they could call their own and live out their Jeffersonian view of independence, he said. The federal government poured a lot of effort and energy into the Dawes Commission, but at the same time, it was very hard for both Native and American governments to keep track of who was who. Oh boy. So they push you out to the further west, and then they still have foreigners coming to take your land in the West. What did the civilized tribes get? Why wouldn't they want to just, even though they're married to foreigners, why don't they just stand up on their Indian and say, look, you're on my turf, so I'm the boss here. If you wanted to be a boss, you should have stayed in your homeland. But when you marry into me, even a matriarchy, she is the boss. And no, you have to meld into our society and go by our rules, not dominate us with your form of foreign government. They would never suppose this is how it's supposed to go. We were supposed to have our own government, and whoever moved here go by our government. But they set up a commerce system that allows them to genocide. Once they marry into Indians, they can genocide the Indian and say, oh, nope, it's about me. And in as much that you mix with me, it's still about me and not you. You get dissolved by Negropean, you know, domination. Okay. And meanwhile, they're trying to take all the land and for their posterity, you know, all the while genociding Indians all around the place, except for the ones they married into who are so brainwashed that they may as well be foreigner as well. The Moors did this, y'all. This was the Moors. So the federal government put a lot of effort and energy into the Dawes Commission, but at the same time, it was very hard for both Native and American governments to keep track of who was who. The Dawes Commission set up tents in Indian Territory, said Bill Welch, director of Emer, Emeritus of the Oklahoma Historical Society's Office of American Indian Culture and Preservation. There, field clerks scoured written records, took oral testimony, and generated enrollment cards for individuals determined to have Indian blood. So they're allowing every foreigner to become an Indian, but those who they deemed black, you couldn't claim Indian. They just made you black. The only way to be an Indian was to accept their terms of being Indian, and you had to give up your land in order to keep your Indian name, but give up your land. And the other Indians get rid of your Indian name, but stay on your land as blacks, and then just meld into our states because we are having our Dawes Act, the Dawes Act or the Allotment Act, just dissolve your tribes. So that included authentic Indians, Wells said, but it also included lots of people with questionable heritage. Commissioners took advantage of their positions and enrolled people who had very minimal or questionable connection to the tribes, he said. They were not adverse to taking money under the table to make non-Indians into Indians. So there's a picture of the citizens and freedmen of the 5 civilized tribes in Indian territory. It was all Indian territory. Secretary of the Interior. 1907, they got approved in 1906, an act of Congress. Congress don't make the laws for Indians that are not represented in Congress. They shouldn't be making laws. But if you're five civilized tribes, oh, they can dance all over your birthright. The Dawes Commission, established in 1893 to enforce the General Allotment Act of 1887, or the Dawes Act, was charged with convincing tribes to cede their land to the United States and divide remaining lands into individual allotments. The commission also required, didn't we read this already? Required Indians to claim membership in only one tribe and register on the Dawes roll. Okay, so apparently, I don't know why it said that twice, but I guess we got through the main article, and let's see. Oh no, okay, let's read. The implications of such shady practices are enormous now, Smithers said. $5 Indians pass their unearned benefits to heirs who will still lay claim to tribal citizenship and associated privileges. See, it wouldn't be privileges if it was birthright. So when you're a civilized tribe, you still are getting privileges. You're not getting your birthright. The government is, divvying out whatever you get as if it's theirs. It's like you're giving your control to the federal and then they divvy it out to you like they have some kind of hold on your birthright based on that stupid doctrine of discovery that the Pope has repudiated. Now we have people who are white, but who can trace their names back to the rolls used by tribal nations to ascertain who has rights as citizens, he said. That means we have white people who have the ability to vote at large. It means political rights. It means the potential to influence tribal policy on a whole range of issues. It means people have access to healthcare, education, and employment. The implications are quite profound for people who got away with fraud. So they're saying basically what I'm reading or hearing is that this is the power that whites had in the tribes, these civilized tribes. They get all whatever that's supposed to be coming to the real Indians. Now they're getting it from the federal government as if they're an Indian too. To vote in Indians, now really the Indians are already owned by the federal anyway as a civilized tribe. So it does make sense that the federal government would allow foreigners to get a crack at all of this as well, because the federal is saying, well, y'all are not real Indians anyway. You gave us your birthright and we get to divvy it out to foreigners, and we have your approval. Civilized tribes are getting royally fisted, okay? Okay. Whether they know it or not, I don't know. I guess they're so in love with the Moors and the Europeans that they don't realize that you're getting the raw end of the stick, darling. Baby girl, you're getting the raw end of the stick, okay? You really are. You're getting, it's just like with the again with how they did with affirmative action. They say it's for you, but then it ends up for everybody else but you. This is what the federal government does to Indians, whether they are federal or whether they are Indians that are outside of the system. Okay, all Indians get royally effed over by this beast sitting in DC that have infiltrated even the states that they weren't supposed to infiltrate. Okay. On the flip side, while non-natives paid to play Indian. Many authentic Indians who didn't trust the government chose not to register with the Dawes rolls at all. That's why I'm claiming that I'm a non-Dawes. I never saw my people on the Dawes roll. The ones that I looked at, I never found us on there. Actually, there may have been one person that had a name of one. It was one woman that I think I saw on a Dawes roll. It was she, but it looked like she somehow she did it alone. She did it by herself. It was only her, and even the rest of her family didn't do it. If she's my, ancestor, but it was a woman I found that had the same name as one of my ancestors, and I thought it looked like she broke away completely, and she said, "Fuck yo, I gotta get me some benefits and privileges up in this piece." But I am not. I don't have to claim her as a. I again, Indians have options. You don't have to. You if you have the birthright, you don't. You can claim all of this as unconstitutional and say I'm not taking part in unconstitutional activity. I'm a birthright Indian. I am no longer just here to be the entryway for foreigners to take the birthright of all Indians. That's how you get around that. But I just wanted this system to know that don't think that I'm coming to you as any of your creations. A Dawes Roll Indian created by an act of Congress. I'm not that. I'm not a federally recognized tribe as an Algonquin. I'm just a genocided tribe, basically. And all my land has been misappropriated in the east woodland area. Y'all trying to stick me up in the coal area. And this Negro hates coal, so that can't be where I was from as an Algonquin. Even if there was Algonquins up there, that ain't wasn't my peeps. We are very large group, so we had some winter Algonquins, but I'm an East Coast Algonquin. We were from North Carolina, okay, and it's they call it North Carolina because they're so busy trying to make Algonquins Northern Indians when they are actually Southern Indians. Virginia is the South. So how are you going to have a North Carolina when Virginia is right on top of that, and that's the South? But see, they do their word plays to give the impression that the Algonquins were Northern. No, we weren't. We're being overtaken by younger Indians, but that was all our land. Come on, somebody gotta say it, and I am going to say it. We owned the Eastern Woodland area, point blank, period. These are breakoffs that got influenced by the Moors, the Muskogean, and the Iroquois. It was Algonquins who owned all of that land. There I said it. There I said it. That's why the Europeans first run into Algonquins, of patrilineal Indians. I will keep saying it. I know Indians say, "Why he just said the same thing over and over." Yep. Hmm. That's how you get rid of a brainwash. You know how you have to do your affirmative affirmations. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Okay. Yeah, I'm erasing this programming, yo, and I suggest other Indians do it too. You got to say it, and saying it led me to send my notice and defy the Department of Finance. Do you know they still sent me a bill? I don't think they sent my paperwork probably didn't get to their legal team yet. It's the holidays and people are, but yesterday in the mail, oh look, they still sending bill. Go on, keep sending them. Ain't nobody paying them, yo. I'm an Indian, not tax, yo. And I'm claiming that, and there's nothing you could do to stop me. You can't arrest me. This is constitutional. Even if I was in your system, you couldn't arrest me because it's in the Constitution. So they can keep sending them. I'll keep throwing them away. And I mean that shit. I'm laughing, but I'm serious as a freaking coroner. No. I ain't playing, y'all. I know my rights as a birthright Indian, and I'm not playing this bullshit no more. Not doing it. And it's only going to get worse because this Indian's looking to be completely tax free. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. There's something got to give Indians. If they're gonna try to make it where you know are not getting your land back, well then you ain't gonna take no taxes from me. But I'm getting my land back too, y'all. I'm not giving up on that. Something's got to give. You won't be allowed to tax me anymore. And then because I'm a separate government, and I'm telling you that I'm not part of the system, that automatically makes me entitled to land. That's what's the other side of this, y'all. So no, it will lead to land because it's going to be reasoned. It's a legal, it's a legal equation at this point. If they're not part of our system, then what are they standing on? We're standing on our ancestral land that you have to acknowledge as being my birthright land that you are on. You are trespassing, not me. You are. So that's going to lead to, okay, so since you're here, while you're here, you have to compensate me, whatever that is. An Indian is going to finally get the profits that they never got in this commercial agreement that we had, commerce. We never got anything from that commerce. Now I don't know if the Iroquois Confederacy are getting something under the table. That's why they push us as being black so much, you know. But the Indians that should have been getting paid were the Algonquins because this is all on their territory, y'all, our territory. And we're not getting anything but being called black. So, one or two things, like I said before, we're either going to get our land back and these people go quickly, or we get our land back, they stay a little longer, but they're paying us, not the federal government, y'all. Not the federal government. If Indians don't know that they have a right to say goodbye to the feds because they've done nothing but cheat us and dance all around our agreement and ignore. In that last article we read, they say there is no one going by the Constitution anymore. How do we have a contract that no one is going by? What did you do? So if I made a contract with you that you're not going by, how can I still have you remain here under false pretense? The doctrine of discovery has been repudiated. How are you still here? And especially claiming authority over me. What they're doing is trying to reorganize without the Constitution, without, they're trying to, I guess I think they want corporations to take the place of the government and oppress us through corporations. But I'm telling you, the corporations have even less authority than the government. So they won't be as hard to deal with. And the government was a corporation anyway. So, um, okay. On the flip side, while non-natives paid to play Indian, many authentic Indians who didn't trust the government chose not to register with the Dawes roll. Good for you. At all, said Gene Norris, a genealogist at the Cherokee National Historical Society. That means people with legitimate claims to tribal enrollment and benefits are now excluded. Well, we don't want any of your little giveaways. What we want is all of our birthright. If you're here, that means you need to be compensating me to be on my birthright land. Point blank, period. That is how business works. It has always been that, and it will never be anything else once colonization is taken out of the equation. Okay. It goes right back to business. That's what Powhatan did. This is what our paramount chief, our Algonquin paramount chief, told these MFers, if you want to stay here, I have land over here available, and this is what my tribute shall be. That is law of Indian land, point blank, period. Okay? Yeah. I learned from my paramount chief, y'all, and I'm not settling for anything less from any matriarchy, patriarchy, whatever. I'm not settling for anything less. And if you're here, you want to compensate Algonquin Indians because you're all over our territory. So you owe us more than anybody. Now, I believe the Iroquois are already on some payment deal. I truly do. But they're getting paid as blacks. It has to be what is going on here. That's why they want all Indians to be black. They're getting a paycheck for being black, but not all the other Indians. Iroquois and possibly the five civilized, they're getting all kinds of little deals. But look, that's what y'all settle for. That's not what all Indians, especially Algonquins, we ain't we would never have, and because it's all taking place on most of our land. So again, if Iroquois want to entertain this bullshit, you better do that on your territory because it ain't happening on Algonquin territory. They have no right. And if you're giving them that right, then you're giving them that right to take. You gotta have all these foreigners move to your territory, and then what? You're gonna need more resources, right? Because you're gonna have too many people. So you just made matters worse. If you were already suffering for lack of resources as a tribe alone, and you invite all these foreigners, now you're a bunch of people fighting for even less, so you would have to pay Algonquins, something for what is being grown on our land. If you want to entertain foreigners, they got to stay in your part of the house. Okay. Or you can get real and start saying, you know what, this was all a big mistake. Y'all got to go home. I don't have enough resources to support all you Negropeans and your friends. You're gonna have to go back to Europe and Africa and buy my goods that you need. That's what the Iroquois Confederacy need to do. Because y'all are cavorting a curse, y'all. Iroquois Confederacy, you are dancing on a curse because the religion that you are all about now, you had to become part of slave master's religion. They have a character, as we saw in the last video, named Rebecca, that she said, let the curse fall on the matriarch. Okay. So y'all got to get around that curse now. You got to say, you know what? Okay. All right now. That is what you get with colonizer. He got a whole story about you, and he made you that Rebecca character pretty much because you're choosing him over your firstborn. You're choosing his form of government because you're so married into him that you become him now. And so now you're taking all his ancestors from Somalia and Mali and Morocco and all of that. So the matriarch in your story said to let the curse fall on her. And so be it, if that's how it got to be. But if you all just take your birthright back and let go of all this foolishness, letting all these foreigners up in here, then maybe the curse don't have to fall on you. I don't know. But y'all said it, and that's why I can't claim that religion. I ain't trying to get your curses. You invented them, and they should go back to sender. Hmm. Native Americans are the only racial group defined by blood. Hmm. Uh, I'm sorry, he got it wrong because Native Americans are not the same as Indians. But we know what they're trying to say, right? Indians or American Indians are the only racial group defined by blood, Norris said. Even that was arbitrary. Hmm. In the 1890s, siblings who talked to different commissioners emerged with different blood quantum because they didn't apply together. Some of them have different blood degrees. Interesting. That so it was arbitrary. mean, I, let's read that again. Native Americans are the only, well, he's trying to refer to American Indians, are the only racial group defined by blood, Norris said. Even that was arbitrary. In the 1890s, siblings who talked to different commissioner. Okay, so the different commissioners had different blood quantums to define you as an Indian. It was arbitrary. They didn't have no one, you know, go to standard, right? So siblings who have the same blood quantum, if they talk to different commissioners, end up having different blood quantums depending on the commissioner of the Dawes Commission because they didn't apply together. Didn't apply. Yeah, some of them have different blood degrees, so they're just telling you how much Indian blood you have. In short, the Dawes rules forever changed the way the federal government defined Indians. The federal. They're not supposed to be defining us, right? They're just supposed to do business with us. That's it. We're supposed to make a profit. The reason why you engage in commerce because both parties expect to make some kind of profit, right? But Indians never got that. Meanwhile, the federal government is dreaming up all kinds of ways to tax Indians not taxed, and then make state citizens over into federal citizens so that they can say that you can't question the national debt, that they are skyrocketing, right? In short, the Dawes rules forever changed the way federal government defined Indians. And in many cases, the way Indians still define themselves. We're still brainwashed, right? Many of the federal Indians, federally recognized Indians, are really indoctrinated just as well as Indians that are trying to be 501c3s. They just don't know what the hell they're doing. They think they know it all in commerce, but the problem is they don't realize being in commerce is the problem. In 1900, one woman registered on the rolls with, oh my God, 256 Cherokee blood? How small is that? My God. Why I never even saw that kind of fraction? Wait, three digits? I didn't know fractions could do that, no. 256 Cherokee blood. Oh my gosh. She can bleed that out in a period. My God, what's going on? What the hell? Yeah, oh my God. She can get a cut on her finger and she ain't Cherokee no more. My God. In 1900, one woman registered on the Dawes roll with what? See, this is why in my declaration, in my notice to, and my declaration, my public notice, I said I'm not a Dawes. You don't confuse me with a Dawes roll because I'm not claiming that. You know, I want them to know that I know that your Dawes commission was a whole fraud. So don't confuse me with a Dawes roll and don't expect me to go by that fraud. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. And I'm not a 501c3, and I'm not part of your five civilized tribes. And I distinctly said the Iroquois Confederacy had no authority, had and have no authority to speak for me as an Algonquin Indian. So I shut the Iroquois down real quick, right? You have no authority. Who the hell gave it to you? Your colonizer? Oh, no, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. So I'm telling them, you look at me like an Indian who's not any part of your system. I have a birthright to claim that, no matter what. I don't have to go with fraud that went outside of the Constitution. Okay? Congress had no right to make any Dawes roll because we Indians are not represented in Congress. I'm going to keep saying that till it makes sense. Not represented in Congress, not counted for taxation. So wow, this one woman registered on a Dawes roll with 256 blood quantum of Cherokee blood. Norris said. Now, some enrolled members of the Cherokee Nation have as little as, oh my, look at that. 8,196 Indian blood? Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is crazy, y'all. Now, some enrolled members of the Cherokee Nation have as little as, so basically, say now the one person that had that 256 ounce of Cherokee blood, they marry to someone who is not Indian, and so their blood quantum gets smaller and smaller as you keep, bleeding out into foreigners, So this is why you don't really want to be part of this crap. The Dawes rolls, even now, are a murky and very inaccurate gauge of Indian citizenship. Well, no, Indians are not citizens. Okay? We don't want Indian citizenship in this federal system at all. So the Dawes rolls, even now, are a murky, very inaccurate gauge of Indian citizenship, he said. In the 2000 census, the number of people claiming Cherokee ancestry was 3 times that of official tribal enrollment. Wow. Wow. So there's more people than the tribe itself that are claiming to be Cherokee. Oh, anybody can be a Cherokee, y'all. This is what happens to civilized tribes. The foreigner comes in and they get smaller, and the foreigner is running around talking about he Cherokee. Hmm. That's what happens when the federal government established the rules, not the natives. Oh, yes. Tell it. That's what happens when your colonizer makes the rules and not you. And you rolling with the colonizer like he the best thing that ever happened. Smithers has no estimate of the number of people who fraudulently registered on the Dawes rolls or who lay false claim to Indian citizenship now. But $5 Indians did not represent an isolated case of appropriation. What we had was simply white people claiming to be Indian, he said. They were early wannabes, just like we have today. $5 Indian, just another term for that. And there you have it. This is the problem with the Dawes Roll Indians, because he said it here. What we had was simply white people and anybody else, come on, let's be real, claiming to be Indian, he said. They were early wannabes, just like we have today. $5 Indian is just another term for that. Wannabe. Okay? And what that idiot Walter Plecker was trying to say that what was he claiming? Oh yeah, so he didn't want quote unquote blacks. He thought we were the wannabes, but we were the real thing. And but he was making it like we were wanting to be Indians. But as we see, he didn't mind if white people wanted to be Indians. Did he? Well, this is way after him though, because he was the 1790 census. But what I'm saying is what he did sort of paved the way for this to occur because you're knocking the black, what they call black, the real Indians, you're getting them out of the way. So you're making room for any other people to claim Indian. If you turn real Indians black, then that means now you're making way for white people to become Indians because you're lightening up Indians. And so it makes it look like it's more uh uh you know possible that Indians were Caucasian than they were of a darker hue because you're changing the face of the Indian. You're lightening it up and you're turning dark skinned, full blood Indians into blacks. So now that takes a whole look away from the Indian picture. Okay, so we made it through this article fairly quickly. So I'm thinking maybe we can look at some of the other slides, shall we call them? Um one one I wanted to see, this doesn't give somehow when I'm recording, it doesn't let me see a preview of my screenshots, and I don't recall that being the case before that I could click on here and see what I'm going to look at, but now it doesn't let me. Let me see. Is this what I want? Oh, this is what I want to look at. I thought this was interesting because what we have is Algonquin being this pinkish area of this map. And look who we have in Algonquin land. Cherokee. So were Cherokees Algonquin at some point in 1650? Hmm? Well, my argument is that this whole thing was Algonquin because that's the oldest language of the East, uh, you know, East woodland area. The oldest language was Algonquin. But look, Cherokees, were you once Algonquin? Did you turn on the patriarchy, ladies? And you're the one that we learned gave the Iroquois some writing, them dummies, right? So, was you Algonquins that already had writing to give to the Iroquois? Huh, Turkey? Y'all better come on back home to your Algonquin daddy. What you doing to your daddy? That's not you're a bad girl. Don't be a bad girl. Be a good girl now. This map, y'all. Is it me? Am I seeing something wrong? Why would they make a map like this? The Iroquois is in yellow, right? And the Mobilians, these must be another word for more. You know that everything that begins with an M and an O is more, right? So this is where the Moors was taking over Algonquin land, okay? And then they started influencing this poor Cherokee and the Iroquois, right? The Iroquois. How you gonna be your separate Indian and your word Iroquois is an Algonquin word? Y'all was all Algonquin, yo. Y'all about to come on back home to the patriarchy. Come on now, come on back to Papa now. Come on back to Papa. Come on. Come on, you bad girls. Both of y'all was Algonquin. Come on now. Somebody got to tell the truth. Iroquois, that name is Algonquin. So that's telling your story. You're just a rebellious, the 30% of rebellions. Okay. Even the Huron. You better get her off because we ain't doing this today. Okay. So What the Cherokee, even in other words, all of these. If your Confederacy has the name Iroquois, which is an Algonquin word, that means Algonquins preceded Iroquois. Come on, somebody, tell me now, tell me it's the truth, because it is, yo. Did I get a witness, God? But I just found that I'm gonna keep blowing it up so y'all can see Cherokee up in Algonquin territory. And it's not yellow. If they were Iroquois, it would be yellow, like the Tuscaroras. See, it says Huron, Iroquois, Huron. So how did Huron go up all the way uphill and get all the way downhill? Because that's the Huron, H-U, yeah, that's the U, H-U-R, and Hurricane, Huron, Iroquois. How did y'all get down here, though? The Cheras, they were Algonquin. So the Cherokee was Algonquin too, according to this map of Indian families. Okay, 1650, Cherokee, Algonquin, and the Iroquois is Algonquin too. Again, so now we could color all of the Iroquois red because they was Algonquins. Now we just got to deal with these Moors down here, or Billion, okay, because they are also invaders. Wow. Yeah. Yep. So, um, so then we could quickly look, I hope quickly, because you know how I do. So let me see, um, so we read that. Next, okay, so here we asked AI, when did the first republic appear in the Americas? And AI told it me, the AI overview, according to historical records, the first republic to appear in the Americas was the United States, which established itself as a republic following the American Revolution with the adoption of the Constitution of 1789. So it's interesting that they avoid the 1787 Constitution, marking the beginning of the early republic period. So the point of this is that now they're getting this from, over here, research guides, the Library of Congress. So AI is, I believe, this is showing where they're pulling the information from. So this is just to further show that Indians did not build a republic. Okay. Because it first appears in the Americas was the United States, which is a foreign government. So let's look at another question that we asked, and AI seemed to answer. Did any American Indians have a republic? That was the question up here. And so the answer came, while no American Indian tribe explicitly established a republic in the Western sense, many tribes, like the Cherokee, developed complex self-governing systems. Now, the interesting thing is how they keep referring to Iroquois Indians like they are the thing, the go-to Indians. When you ran into Algonquins, why do you keep talking about the attributes of Cherokee and Iroquois? Because you're genociding Algonquins as if they didn't exist. So why don't you talk about the Indians that you ran into? Because they did not have a republic, right? And they're the oldest Indians in the eastern woodlands. We're going to try to look at how they're the oldest in some of these little, so we make these quick little slides so we don't maybe go too long, right? So I figure, yeah, let's go with it. What the hell? Let's go with it. Um, while no American Indian tribe explicitly established a republic in the Western sense, and we are talking through Western sense only, right? Uh, Many tribes, like the Cherokee, developed complex self-governing systems with constitutions and leadership structures that could be considered analogous to a republic, particularly with their established councils and chiefs demonstrating a form of representative government within their sovereign nations. However, they were not considered republics in the traditional political definition. So you're trying to say they had a republic so you can justify this foreign republic. But you keep saying it wasn't considered a republic in the traditional. Well, all we're talking about is the one that we have now. So if the one we have now is not traditional, then it's just not, you know. No, well, they're saying the Cherokees one wasn't traditional, but I think they're trying to say the one we have now is traditional, I think is the implication. Um, so, okay. So you're talking about this are the two slides we have to basically say that no, there was no republic by Indians except the one that they keep saying that the Iroquois had, yet the Iroquois didn't have a writing system till the Cherokee gave them one. Uh, so yeah, that was the ones that we were talking about the republic. I should have pulled up the one where the Iroquois are said to have a republic because that would make sense. And that's what I did find. But I tried to see what other Indians had a republic. So then we go, the first thing they mention is Cherokee. Now that's also a faction of Iroquois. Although it appears that they were once Algonquin, they have broken off from Algonquin. And so they have a writing system that they give to the Iroquois Confederacy, or the ones who are claiming Iroquois. Now the Cherokee speak Iroquois, and they apparently have an Iroquois writing system. Okay, but everything that's being associated with a republic is coming from Iroquois Indians, not Algonquins, which are the older Indians. How are they older? Now that's how we get here. Based on current linguistic understanding, Algonquin is considered to be the language family that came first, followed by Iroquois and then Muskogean. Muskogean was the very last, right? Meaning that Proto-Algonquin, the original Algonquin language, is thought to have developed earlier than the Proto-Iroquoian and Proto-Muskogean languages. This is important because we want to figure out what happened. Where did these breakoffs come from? They came from Algonquin, y'all, because Algonquin is the oldest thing here. And so let's look at this again. Out of all three of these Eastern woodland groups, look how large Algonquin is. Again, we came to the conclusion you had to have been around long enough to have this much territory. So then you had some disagreeables, Iroquois and uh, Muskogean or Mobilian. I guess Mobilian turned into Muskogean. So you have your break-offs, right? But the break-offs are not as old as this thing. And the proof again is in how much it takes time to cover that much land, y'all. You don't just come overnight and have all this land. You were here longer. That's why you have so much land. And these are the break-offs: Iroquois, Mobilian. Okay. So the East Woodland area belonged to Algonquins until they started getting infiltrated by Moors. And then the Moors are sharing their twisted legacy with these Indians and convincing them somehow to break off. And they're appealing to the females. Okay. Just like when we read, where did Fard Muhammad go when he needed to convince Indians that they were from Africa? We read that a while ago video. Fard Muhammad went door to door selling scarves, silk scarves to females, and telling them that they were from a, a nation of Africans, and they were, that's what he's telling them, that they're Moors. So is this how the matriarchy was seduced by Moors? Because Fard Muhammad was basically, he's the religion of the Moors. Although when you see him, he looks like a whole white man or a Asian white man or Asiatic. I don't know what the hell he was, yo. He was one of those experiments the Moors did on themselves, and they came up with him. Okay, so we read that he went door to door selling the females, appealing to the females, right? Is that what happened to the matriarchy? They got seduced by Moors? Apparently, yes. The answer is yes. And a patriarchy would have to seduce a matriarchy where they can't really seduce a patriarchy. Okay? That's why Algonquins were erased. They were patrilineal. So the incoming new patriarchs had to get rid of the old patriarchs, was the Algonquins, and twist up our history and lie about us and diminish us when we were the whole entire woodland area. There were no Iroquois and there were no Muskogeans, Algonquin. When you get real with which language is older, the Algonquin language is older than the Muskogean language. The original Algonquin language, Proto-Algonquin, was spoken between 2,500 and 3,000 years ago. The Algonquin language family includes 30 languages spoken in the United States and Canada. Canada. The Muskogean language family is native to, see, then they're going to see, but they weren't here in the southeastern. It was the Algonquins. So their language is secondary to that what which was here first. Okay. So the Muskogean language includes languages like Choctaw, Chickasaw, Alabama, and Muskogee Creek. Now, they didn't mention Cherokee here because Cherokee is speaking Iroquois. But yeah, okay. So what was next? So we're showing that Algonquins are the oldest thing in the eastern woodland area. So they have to be little by little eaten away by Iroquois and Muskogeans. So a colonizer could say, challenge. And then you see that the colonizer is only talking about Iroquois. The Iroquois is the justification for the colonizer being here. He swooned the matriarchy. And I guess he whispered in her ear, "Oh, I could treat you better. You deserve to be more in charge." Who knows? And so then the matriarchy turns on the patrilineal Indians. But she's allowing a foreign patriarch to sort of sit in that seat. Well, what's next? So this is what I thought was interesting. The Iroquois have lived in North America for over 4,000 years. They are descendants of Paleo Indians who migrated to North America after the last ice age. So this was one of the first times I read that Iroquois migrated to North America. You know, I think they're just a break off out of Algonquins. I don't think they migrated. I think they're a break off, again, a matriarchy that was seduced by the Moors, and then the Moors give them a history that says they migrated, some shit, you know? So, yeah. So they were established in 1142. So they're so brand new, you know what I mean? They're just so brand new, you know? You could read that, you know. Um, I think I need to take a quick break and I shall return. We're back. Let's get back to our share screen. Okay, so yeah. So you can read the rest of that. It's just interesting that here we're hearing that the Iroquois migrated here. I don't know about that. So let's go to the next screenshot, okay? Okay, which tribe of Algonquins are the oldest? I asked the question, but I don't think AI understood it. So it answered it this way. According to available information, the Algonquin tribe itself is considered the oldest among the Algonquin groups. Okay, so maybe it did understand. With archaeological evidence suggesting they have lived, now they putting us north again, in the Ottawa Valley for at least 8,000 years before Europeans arrived. This is considered their ancestral homeland. Okay. Okay. So it's partly true, but I think again, they keep putting Algonquins as if they're northern Indians. When I'm saying it looks to me that Algonquins were the oldest thing in the eastern woodland area as well. Again, you don't cover that much territory by appearing overnight like the Iroquois kind of did with their Confederacy coming in the 1100s. That's way late in the game. So, uh, yeah. So next screenshot. Okay, so we have a 4,000 year for number for Iroquois, and here we have a 8,000 year for Algonquins. It's the Iroquois that were northern, more northern than Algonquin, but that's what's being forgotten here. When King James got here, he was in Virginia. Virginia is more south than New York, where the Iroquois were. So, but it's like the Iroquois are, I don't know, it's like some kind of psyop is going on. And we're forgetting that at the time of British arrival, and even before that, when they came to North Carolina, when the French, was it the French that came to North Carolina? Roanoke? They found Algonquins. So why do you keep putting us as if we're these Northern Indians? Why? Because we're being genocided out of the Eastern Woodland area and pushed up north. Okay? That's what's going on here. We were East Woodland Indians more than anything because really the movement of Indians is from the south and up. So we would have first permeated the South before ever moving up to Canada. Remember, that was all ice up there, right? So Algonquins, they moved from the South. They did not come from the North. Let's be very clear. Because looking at the way they try to portray Algonquins in history, they're really making it like we sort of were just hanging out in the North and then came down to the South. No, that's not the movement of Indians. We're moving from the South. If anything, we're coming from South America. Let somebody tell the truth and shame the devil. If people want to get real, they will understand that Indians were moving where we first started getting colonized from the South, because that's where we first got hit with colonization with Columbus. So we're dispersing from South America, we're going into the Caribbean, and then we're moving up toward North America. Did not come from the North. That's, you're talking about Siberian Indians, okay? Who came from the Bering Strait later in the game. We were already here in the southern parts of South America and North America. We moved up. So that's another thing. You know, they keep putting Algonquins as if they were descending from the North. Nope, sorry. No, sir. You're lying again, colonizer. They are in love with that East Coast territory, y'all. They are in love with our land, and they keep pushing us north. Nope, that's not where we originated. Just stop it. So according to yeah, we read this one already. Oh wait, no, this one is slightly different. How long have Algonquins been in North America? According to archaeological evidence, Algonquin peoples have been present in North America for at least 8,000 years, with some evidence suggesting their presence even further back, possibly as far back, I'm sorry, as far as 9,500 to 8,000 BC in regions like North Carolina. Okay, so there you go again. They're trying to say that we from the Canada and we come from the igloos, and no, nope, nope. Our oldest appearance, according to this slide, is in North Carolina, yo. And stop calling it North Carolina, trying to make it like it's North. It's all the South, okay? That North Carolina thing is such a big psyop. All of the Carolinas are South. Okay? Stop it. Keep trying to put Algonquins North. But their presence even further back, possibly as 9,500 to 8,000 BC. Now, I think these numbers are exaggerated, but the point is we're older. We're coming up older than Iroquois, okay? Older than Muskogean, the other two Indians of the Eastern Woodland area. We're the oldest. Again, I just think these numbers are kind of crazy, but I do think the idea is we are the oldest thing in the Eastern Woodland area, okay? Algonquins. And we resisted the British colonizer, so that's why we're being genocided and minimized, okay? So we just quickly going through these. Yes, the Algonquin people were traditionally patrilineal, meaning they followed the male line of descent. Okay, that's what we want to get from this. Now, you'll never see this associated with Iroquois. They are always said to be matrilineal, right? But with Algonquin, you're going to find some saying, oh, they were matrilineal. Well, okay, we're going to err on the fact that we were known as patrilineal because what got us in trouble, y'all. That's what got us in trouble with the European patriarchy. So again, they're gravitating toward a matriarchy. They resisted the patriarchy of the Algonquian. So, okay. Okay, so here's where it's getting however, some say that half of the Algonquin speaking communities in the United States were not patrilineal. Okay. So the point is we are said to be more patrilineal than the Iroquois or even the five civilized tribes are said to be. Even in our creation story, it has grandfather. We read about old grandfather was sad because there was, he couldn't find land. That's what they're saying is, the original creation story of Algonquian. So Iroquois, they deal with a sky woman, a woman who fell into their midst, and then suddenly they are now, you know, was it an Algonquin woman that these Moors were able to get and then claim that they Indian? Is that what happened? Because there is no sky woman in the Algonquin creation story. There's old grandfather, and then he creates the land according to that myth for all things to live on. And while the Iroquois are depending on a turtle, but a woman falls into their midst and they start creating a world for her, a matriarch, because she's the bloodline that they're getting into. That's what I believe they're trying to tell us in their creation story. But again, it was old grandfather and he was dealing with a muskrat that helped him to create an earth that was connected to earth, not a turtle. Algonquin's main animal character was a muskrat, and we did the research on muskrats, and we found that muskrats are indigenous to America, whereas a turtle originated in Mongolian areas. Asian. Turtle is an Asian originating animal. Asian, and we found some in Germany. So a turtle is not indigenous to America. He came with the Mongolians, and the Iroquois are catering to that. So once they break away from Algonquin, they're being fed a Moorish tale because the Moors are Asiatic. So they introduce a turtle from Asia, and the turtle is also colonizing South America. That's what we read something about the turtle. Uh, what do you say? How do they put it? Or did I, say that the turtle colonized just like the colonizer did? I think, yeah. Okay. Okay, so what else we have here? Yeah, we looked at this already. A little bit of evidence that Cherokee may have started out, according to this map, as Algonquin speaking or Algonquin Indians. There is no yellow over here. There should have been yellow to indicate Iroquois or blue to indicate Muscovian or Mobilian. But they have Cherokees in Algonquin, Algonquin land. And then the Cherokee helped the Iroquois to have a writing system. Um, I think we're going to leave it there for now. Uh, yeah. Yeah, that was my Indian not tax notice to the Department of Finance. So I think we'll leave it here and make it a fairly short video. We just wanted to revisit the Dawes role and the $5 connection, $5 Indian connection. Okay. So it was here, paying to play Indian, the Dawes roles and the legacy of the $5 Indians. So now we understand why the Dawes role is unconstitutional. It's something created in commerce, has nothing to do with law of the land. It's Indians at the mercy of the federal system that's just genociding them left and right. So, yeah. Thank you for watching. I hope this was short enough. Till next time, uh, may you be and stay highly favored.